Hey guys, as I promised, I was gonna be doing a review for It Chapter 1, or should I say It Chapter 2, which I'll prove to you that I want to go see it. I did watch it 2 days ago as of this video, I was actually really looking forward to watching it. Even though I didn't go watch it in theaters, I did manage to go actually rent this movie out because I didn't actually have the chance to go see it at all, and even didn't have the time to go watch it in theaters. So with that, I did manage to rent the movie and I did check that out. And to be honest, guys, I was actually pretty much impressed. And let's get to that in a little bit, though. So, It Chapter 1, starring Peter Skarsgård, who plays Pennywise, or should I say It's, how the way they call him, though. Wow, he's amazing, though. We'll get to him in a little bit, though. And it's directed by Andres Machete, if I pronounced his name right. So let's begin with the story. The story is pretty much a retelling of the original. We get to see poor Georgie right over here, who pretty much just goes out and takes his boat out for a ride, and the unthinkable happens. We get to see Pennywise pretty much in the girder, and he starts having a conversation with Georgie, and he's pretty much trying to lure him in. And then with that, Georgie wants to run away from him, but then after that, Pennywise finds a way in order to, get his attention and give him back his boats after it pretty much went down the drain. And the unthinkable happens. Poor Georgie, man. Poor Georgie. And that's how the story begins. We get to see, not only Georgie ends up missing, a lot of people ends up missing, and Derry. And to be honest, it's how the way it starts in the very beginning. It's very unsettling, though. And my God, how the way Georgie disappears without a trace. Even though we get to see how the way he loses that arm, though. Even though in the original one, we don't get to see exactly what really happens because they kind of made it into a PG version. Well, even though they did one for that, too. And this one's rated R. We get to see what happens to Georgie. And my God, they just went a little overboard with that. And it was creepy, though. And then right here, we got to see that Bill is pretty much feeling responsible for actually what happens. And then even though he kind of goes through a little bit of post-traumatic stress disorder, how the way he stutters every time he talks, when he lost his brother. And then right here, we get to see, many other kids being introduced to. We get to see Beverly, who was being mistreated by his own a-hole of a father. Richie, who was a bit of a mouth talker, who keeps talking a bunch of smack. And my God, that kid hurts like crazy and stuff like that. Eddie, who was pretty much always just OCD and twitching, all that stuff like that. And he's always with his placebo inhaler and stuff like that, even though he finally finds out in the very end. Stanley, who pretty much is kind of like a little bit of the chicken, of the whole family, of the whole cast and stuff like that. And we already get to know, how he goes through and stuff like that. Ben, who's actually, new in town, stuff like that, doesn't have friends until he meets Beverly, though. And we get to see how the ways combined. And then we get to see Henry Bowers being the total bully in the whole school. And, the story goes on, stuff like that. And then we get to see all these kids combined, except Henry, though, even though he's being a total a-hole to poor Ben and to the rest of the Losers Club. Things unsettle until they meet up with Pennywise and they find other new clues that lures to him, though. So, yeah, the story is a retelling of how the way it started off from the beginning, so I'll give it a plus to that. And also, I forgot to mention this too, Pennywise the Clown here, portrayed by Peter Skarsgård. I will admit, he did an outstanding job. And yeah, everybody was really crapping all the way he looks here. And to be honest, guys, I was actually I'm just gonna wait and see what happens from here, because I know people love Tim Curry as Pennywise from the original 1990 movie, or should I say show, that was separated into different episodes. Wow, Peter Skarsgård was really good, though. I really wish he could make it in Mortal Kombat, but I don't think it's never going to happen, though, because, hey, at least we got Joker coming in Mortal Kombat 11, but maybe we might get it in Combat Pack 2, maybe? So, yeah, Peter Skarsgård did an outstanding job portraying Pennywise the Clown, and how the way he acts and the way he moves his eyes. I can't even do it, though, because it kind of hurts me more, but how the way he moves his eyes back and forth and stuff. I was like, dude, you have talent with those eyes, man, believe it or not. And he's really good, though, and he looks just like his father, Stellan Skarsgård. He really does look like his dad, and to be honest, he immediately got recognized, and he's getting a lot more work, and I'm actually proud of the guy. And you know what? Good job to you, Peter Skarsgård, and I hope I'll be seeing you soon enough in future movies, man. Maybe, I hope we get to see you in a DC movie, maybe, even though you did show up at Deadpool 2, and they kind of killed you off like that. Hate to say it like that, and it really sucks that Deadpool doesn't actually kind of say a Pennywise reference or anything like that, which was a kind of missed opportunity though. So yeah, so without a doubt, Peter Skarsgård, amazing. Tim Curry, loved him a lot as Pennywise in the original one, but Peter Skarsgård followed suit, and I loved how the way they kind of like did a representation, how all the way we get to see like how the way the original Pennywise looked like back in the day. So I did like that too. So plus on that, man. Let's talk about The Losers Club. The Losers Club, I love the casting. Ben, played by Jayden Lemperther, whatever his name is. I thought he was really good. I liked how the way he was portrayed, though. The way he is, like, you know, going through after his brother's death, even though he's going through a bunch of post-traumatic stress disorder, how the way he stutters every time he talks. Sophie Lillis playing Beverly, though, I thought she was really good. She was really great. Man, the way she goes through with her a-hole of a father who treats her really badly, though. I don't want to talk about it, though, because it's creepy and I don't like it, and how the way he treats her wrong is just messed up. And it is. Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things now to It Chapter 1. Wow, playing as Richie Toyser. I thought, to me, he was really, really good. Really funny, though, and my God, he runs his mouth so many times. He says a bunch of bad languages and stuff like that. He just runs off just talking smack and stuff like that. And I thought he was portrayed really well. Jack Dylan Grazer, though, my God, he got a bunch of recognition after that, even though he was in Shazam, though, playing as another character that I really did like. I'll put it right here in the description. I forgot his name, though. He was really good, though. My God, and how the way he just acts with his OCD-ness and stuff like that, and how the way he just tries to, like, you know, inhale his own stuff like that. It was tough and stuff like that. And without a doubt, he has, like, a bit of a bad tendency of, like, how the way he acts and stuff like that. And just, he goes through a lot. And his mom pretty much just makes him, like, you know, do stuff in order not to hang out with his friends, which is kind of messed up, though. Anyways, and then after that, we get to see Ben, who was new in school, and pretty much, like, he sees, like, these weird stuff going on, too. And then there's a bunch of these kids, too, that also, like, goes through this. But Ben was pretty much kind of, like, the first one who goes through this experience, seeing, like, a bunch of weird stuff in the school and stuff like that. And he's, like, hallucinating, seeing a clown being chased by him and stuff like that. It's really terrifying, though, until he meets Beverly, though, which is pretty much his next big crush. And it was actually Ben and Beverly who pretty much, like, you know, started, like, a romantic side with each other. And to me, yeah, the romantic side between them, it was actually really good, though. I never talked about Mike. Mike is actually a orphan who pretty much works in a farm with his uncle, pretty much killing sheep, putting in those little needles inside of their heads. I was like, geez. And he does have a bit of a dark past, though, of how the way he lost his parents and stuff like that. And it's really sad, though, even though we get to know a little bit more about it in Chapter 2. Mike was actually really portrayed well by Chosen Jacobs and stuff like that. And to be honest, he was actually really good, though. I think I didn't actually talk about Stanley. Stanley is pretty much like the one that sees, like, a bunch of weird, creepy stuff and where he goes out to the church after seeing this weird picture and stuff like that. It's terrifying, though. And when I looked at it, I was like, I have a feeling that this kid's gonna be seeing some really creepy stuff in his past. And to be honest, it is. And pretty much, I hate to say this, though, he's kind of like the weakest link. He's not the weakest in the bunch, but, like, you know, he's like the weakest because he's kind of like the chicken of the team and stuff like that. But the way he's portrayed here, he was really good, though. And yeah, The Losers Club was without a doubt one of the best parts of the movie too. And their backstories is just very tragic, though, and a few of them were just a bunch of, like, you know, crazy ones, a bunch of running the bad language and stuff like that. But it's not only just with Richie, though. A bunch of these kids curse like the F word, the S word every time, and it's just. It's funny, though, and at times this movie can get a little funny with the kids and how the way they combine and, you know, their relationship. It's good. And yeah, the casting was really good. Henry Bowers, played by Nicholas Hamilton. Man, I hate the kid. Not hate him, like in the movie. He's portrayed really good, but my God, he is one a-hole of a bully. But also, he also has a bit of a backstory. His dad, who is a police officer, who treats him like crap and stuff like that, and that's the sole reason why of how the way he's kind of like acting like a total a-hole to all the kids that he sees around, especially with poor Ben and stuff like that, and how the way he cuts them through. They did a few things in the original one. The original one, Henry Bowers was about to slice poor Ben in the stomach, though, but here that actually happens, and my God, it went there, and jeez, like, Henry Bowers here is really a dark character in this, and how the way he's portrayed though was really good though, especially for his friends though. His friends are also a-holes too, and they're portrayed really well though. But Henry Bowers though, he was actually really good though. So without a doubt, he was great. In the original, let's talk about the original one. The original one, it took place in the 80s, and then after that, it goes to the pretty much to the 50s, to like the late to the 80s and stuff like that. Even though I'm kind of talking a little bit like poor Bill here, so. And after that, we get to know about like this takes place in the 80s. The 80s, like late 1989. I like how the way they set it up, the timeline here too, and it's actually really good. We get to see a bunch of nostalgic stuff. The original Street Fighter, which was terrible though. Batman, even though there's a few things they kind of like messed up on about a bunch of stuff like that, but how the way they set up the 80s and stuff like that, and how the way they had the mullets, the 80s cars, the music, and all that stuff, it was actually really good. And I like how the way they set it up here too. So I give props to Andres to like putting this like in the way though. And the 80s setting is actually really good, though. And let's talk about the supporting cast. Beverly's father, a-hole. Poor Georgie, man. Like, even though we get to see, like, a little bit of him in the beginning, and then we get to see, like, haunting moments of him and stuff like that, it's pretty sad, though. And we get to know a little bit more about the rest of the kids' parents. And then, I don't want to spoil much, though, but even though this movie's, like, 2+ years old, there is stuff that I don't want to talk about that is related to this movie, and I'm not a fan of how the way Beverly's father treated Beverly. I didn't like him. Even though how the way it kept the story going, it was unsettling though. And even though how the way it goes forward and stuff like that, it just completely it just blows my mind. And who else is also in the supporting cast? And then poor Eddie, man, how the way his mom treats him though, it kind of sucks. Reminds me of my sister though. The way the supporting cast, in my opinion, I don't want to keep going more with the supporting cast, but the supporting cast is actually really good. A few of them are unselling though, and it does sell the movie well, and how the way it develops and stuff like that, it's good. But at the same time, it does get a little disturbing though with a few moments though. I don't want to talk about that though. So yeah, that's all it is. Scary moments, and also the comedy that goes in through this movie. This movie is scary though. It's not as scary as the original one though. The original one, it is scary and it is cheesy though. Here it does the same exact thing though. Even though this movie is rated R, and how the way the original PG version, how the way the horror was. The original one was really scary, though, and it did haunted me how the way Tim Curry was portrayed, though. And I'll admit, Tim Curry is really good as Pennywise, and same thing with Bill Skarsgård. But how the way they did the horror here, it was just terrifying, though, and it was a bit disturbing, though. And there was a few scary moments, though, and it had a little bit of added comedy to that, though. It was a little out of place, though, but it kind of fit, though, because Eddie, Richie, and of course, who else was also funny? Even Pennywise was also a bit funny too. And I gotta say, the scariest moment of the movie would have to be how the way poor Stanley goes through these moments, how the way he sees these stuff like that, and how the way everybody sees their own fear, and that's what Pennywise is trying to feed him on and stuff like that in order for him to keep the fear going, because that's all he pretty much feeds on. He feeds on people and other children and stuff like that in order to keep himself going and stuff like that. It was unsettling though, and how the way Pennywise appears from that projection though, that was really terrifying. And to be honest, it was really good. And to be honest, it was really scary though. The original one was scary, cheesy. This one was also scary and cheesy, and it does match well, really well. And I'll give it that. Let's talk about the. Man, I did combine this all into one though, so that's what I'm gonna give it to. So all I can say is this: is it better than the original? To be honest, guys, the original is really good though. It's about around 3+ hours long, with all the chapter 1 and chapter 2 combined with all the book. To be honest, guys, I thought, to me, it's actually really good. And is it better than the original? It's tied, actually. It's really tied. And to be honest, I thought, to me, in my opinion, the movie was really, really good, though. The movie had a lot of great moments, though. The chemistry between the Losers Club, everything about the movie was really great, though. And to be honest, it was a fantastic ride from beginning to end. Is a movie worth watching? If you're a horror fan, if you do love the It book and stuff like that, I would give it a watch. It's definitely worth watching, though. And yeah, I got no complaints about this movie. My final verdict has to be, come on, it's a 10 out of 10. To be honest, this movie, I was going to go down to a 9 because the movie, the first time I watched it, I was like, it doesn't beat the original that much. I watched the original, then I watched this one again, in Chapter 1. And to be honest, it was actually good. And how the way it went from PG to rated R, it was just terrifying, though. And the gore effects and stuff like that, and the deaths and stuff like that, jeez, it went completely A1 stuff like that. And how the way Stanley, Eddie, Bill, and everybody else in the Loser Clubs goes through, it was just good, though. And then Henry Bowers, though, how the way he completely loses it in the very end. So, yeah. But anyways, guys, this is it for the video right now. I'm going to continue on with It Chapter 2 after this one. And then after that, let's see what happens from there. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, everybody.